Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 12:01, so we're a minute late. Sorry if you were timing your watch by us, but we are here and we are live on the Green Umbrella Facebook page, Green Umbrella YouTube channel, Christina's LinkedIn profile, and you may have noticed again. Is this the second week in a row that she's not been with us? Or no, she was last week, I think. There was one before.
Yeah.
There was 1 week recently that she wasn't with us.
Yeah.
She's letting us down.
I know she is. So,
unbelievable.
It's fine for anybody watching. She is absolutely heads down in projects. So she's decided to take some of this week to finish off some projects before the bank holiday next weekend. So she has left us to it again, which just shows what a trusting leader she is, I think. So,
she might regret that one today.
I know. She hasn't watched the other ones back, I think. So,
No.
Anyway, if you are here along for the ride, so do say hello in the comments, and we'll try and involve you in the conversation as much as we can. So, folks, we were talking just before we came on air that it's quite annoying when I go, what have you been doing this week? Because sometimes our weeks can be repetitive in some ways, in that we do the same sort of tasks, but we do them with different clients. So that certainly sort of adds to the variety when you're working with a range of people. But it's been quite a newsy week. I think there's been things going on. Cuthbert is old news now. Caterpillar. So that's so last week, isn't it?
That's so last week, Amanda. I can't believe you even brought it up.
So, what's caught your eye, I guess, this week then, rather than what have you been working on? Because there has been some bits going on. First question, is Christina in the pub? No.
Her secret project.
Yeah.
That's like project in inverted commas.
Project Pub.
Yeah.
We thought it was to do with publishing or something.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Project Pink Gin or something.
Who knows? But no, she is trusting us to do live lunch while she's working on some projects. So yes, Jake, things that have caught your eye this week in the world of marketing that are worth updating our loyal followers on.
Right. So the thing I've been sort of looking at this week is a bit more about user-generated content. So it's been around a while, and this is basically where people buy things, then they take a photograph of themselves, they upload it on social, they tag in whoever sells it, and then those brands use that photo in their marketing. And it's always been around, but it's got bigger and bigger. And obviously, since we've been in lockdown and e-commerce has taken a massive leap, there's a lot more UGC around. So what's really good about it, though, is that it's free, effectively. So you don't have to pay for massive photo shoots or all the rest of it. You use your customers to do your marketing for you, basically. And so people are using it in their social, they're using it in their email marketing, it's on their websites, and I've even seen it in printed catalogs as well. So it is literally everywhere. So some stats that I found about it. So 70% of consumers now trust UGC more than they trust branded content. So that's an interesting stat. 79%. 70%.
That's really high.
That's really good. Yeah.
So 79% of it say it influences their purchasing decision, which it would do, wouldn't it? Because you're seeing real people, not your tall, skinny models or your sort of fake people, if we like, using the products. You're seeing actual people wearing the clothes, using the product, wearing the shoes, and you can see what you might look like in it. And also, consumers are 6 times more likely to buy from a website that shows user-generated content on that site. So, this is really big stuff. And linking back to what I talked about last week about shoppable pins and other sort of shoppable content, you can then also use those user-generated posts and photos, tag them into your product. So the person scrolling down their feed, they see ordinary Jane wearing the shoes that they like. They can click those shoes straight through to the checkout on the website. There's no customer journey involved. It's a really, really quick process, and if you like that product, you've got it in your basket straight away, so to speak. And I have an Instagram account that I use to put clothes and shoes on, and 3 times now my photos have been used on other people's Instagram now. So there's a hat I had, there's a jumper I've got, and there's some boots I've got, and they've all been used on those brands' websites and their social as well, and they're all shoppable products. I mean, I don't know that I really want my face all over these people's brands, but it works because I'm just ordinary me, wearing ordinary things, doing my ordinary life.
Nothing.
And people can relate to that.
Nothing ordinary about you, Jane.
Sorry. So yeah, it's authentic, it's real, and it's relatable. That's the thing with user-generated content.
I think it's quite interesting.
Sorry, Emily, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's quite interesting that, because as you were saying, sort of, Jane, about people sharing your content and things, I've had a couple of times on my Instagram where you get, so basically the brands have a set piece of almost terms and conditions style text, don't they? And they put it as a comment under your post and basically list a bit of terms and conditions and then say, we're going to use this in our marketing material. If you put hashtag yes, then we're free to use this as and when, where we want it, basically. If you don't want to do it, either ignore the comment or put hashtag no. But obviously, if you're trying to increase your followers or increase your awareness on your page, if you say yes, and then that page who has X amount of followers shares your content as well, well, it sort of works both ways, because you're then going to get followers from that post, but they're also getting the free marketing content that you've created for them. So I always opt in for those, because I think, well, it kind of works both ways. I want them to share my content. That's why I'm tagging them in it in the first place.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I didn't have that where someone had said hashtag yes or no, but they did just private message me and say, can we use your photo? So
yeah, I think it depends on the company. I think there's been sort of there was one bigger company that did that commented that to me, but then I think usually smaller companies, I've got inbox messages as well for those. But like you said, as long as they're asking you to share that content, which obviously you have to do if you want to share somebody's content, but as long as you ask them, if they agree to it and you have that in writing, well then, if that's a good photograph and it's promoting your product well, you may as well use it if they're happy for you to.
Absolutely.
Those stats are amazing, and as I was saying, Jane, doesn't make you ordinary. Almost makes you an influencer, I would say.
Not quite. With my 160 followers, I don't think so.
But
influencer Jane.
Yeah, exactly. So I
like Gin Jane better. I'll stick with that one.
Paul Green's already added that hashtag.
Yeah,
I know.
You need to be posting to the gym brands then.
That's true.
Yeah.
Missed the trick.
Yeah, you never know. You might get some freebies. So any gifts welcome.
Yeah, that's what we need. Live lunch sponsored by.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And stats are phenomenal though. So in terms of how people watching or listening could use that, in terms of user generated content, and you're right, it kind of works for everything. And I must admit, I'm seeing it a lot on Instagram for pubs and restaurants that are open again now. So people are sharing their stories like, oh, it's great to be back in the Coach and Horses, or whichever Italian restaurant you might be in, or wherever you're getting your food from, and they're sharing in their stories. And that certainly feels more authentic than when you have maybe like a case study and you've got someone who sounds a bit scripted going. So the thing that's springing to my mind are the TV kind of infomercials where you've got like the mattresses or a super mop or something, and it's clear, okay, they might be using authentic feedback, but it's clearly actor reading the words going, my life has been revolutionized, if I could say that, whereas something that's clearly been shared from an Instagram story or a Facebook story or whatever it might be just has that kind of 100% realness about it. So yeah, how might people use that if they are not in, so if they're just in service industry, they're in recruitment maybe, what do they need to look out for? So because we use terms like user generated content a lot, or UGC. If it's completely new to you, where might you start, do you think?
It's a tricky one, really. I mean, generally, sort of when I'm sort of doing it with the clothes and shoes and whatever, hashtagging obviously the company name and the product, obviously tagging them in. So if you are selling something or whatever, then you need to have those hashtags as part of your search all the time, part of your listening strategy. Look out for these people, see what they're posting, see how many things you get. And also you can post things to encourage people as well. So, you know, you can put out a post saying we're launching this thing or whatever, tag us in to your posts and we'll use them, and just tell people that's what you're going to do. I mean, I've seen that quite a lot, saying, you know, tag us in for a chance to be featured in our magazine, or, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think as a brand, you perhaps need to start that ball rolling yourself and encourage people to do it. And I don't know whether you can offer something in return, like a free pen or whatever, or, you know, or just the fact to be featured. But I think, yeah, start it rolling yourself and look out for the hashtags and make sure you follow them and see, you know, what people are actually photographing and posting about you.
I think as well, Jane, you can create hashtags around sort of specific events and things. So I know obviously there's been a lot of online events at the moment, but even around online events, you could create a hashtag for that. And then you sort of say anything to do with this, or if you put out sort of an email, say tag us in your photos from the event using this hashtag, then you can keep an eye for that specific hashtag when the event's up and running. So it just narrows down your search a little bit, rather than having to go out and sort of search for the company name, search for sort of previous hashtags. You can have a specific hashtag for, say, a specific event or a specific job or a specific product or something like that.
Definitely, yeah.
We've got a couple of clients. I was going to say, we've got a couple of clients, retail clients, that use specific hashtags all the time as well, though, to encourage sort of that community. So that, you know, people are posting, you know, wearing their products, or, you know, using their products all the time, using that one hashtag, so that they can sort of keep an eye on that as well. So it's almost sort of, I suppose it's more community based and not necessarily get anything from it, but they're, you know, all seeing each other's posts within those sort of retail sectors.
Yeah,
definitely.
So people actually might be using user-generated content sometimes without even realizing it. So they might be kind of like, oh, well, if we've been tagged in something, then we share it. That's what you're doing. You're using user-generated content. But it sounds like more of it. So you know what you said, Jane, just to pick up on that point about a listening strategy, and that's one thing we kind of drum into, or really emphasize when we're talking to our clients, is social media is not just about broadcasting, is it? It's not about going on there going, da, 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 we're doing this big announcement, you know, and it's all about me. If you're not looking out for those posts, because people might not tag you in the right way, or they might just hashtag you rather than @tagging you. So you might miss this. And I mean, you might miss some really juicy content that is someone going, I love this product, I love this service. And, you know, how great it would be if you could share it. I guess there's potential negatives, because someone could be really slating you as well. So, you know, there's the chance for you to rectify or address some kind of major service or product breakdown. So if people, you know, if there's problems with software, so like, I don't know, say when Twitter's down or something, you might go onto Facebook and search and kind of, you know, and see people going, oh, Twitter's down or Instagram's down. So, and it's a good way for people to get feedback and communicate their message as well. So that listening strategy, if you're not doing that, really important to pick up on what people are saying about you and to gather this user-generated content. I think the 6 times more likely to buy is huge.
I think that doesn't surprise me, though, because I think even when I go out and buy things, anything now, I'll always look at sort of the reviews underneath the product. But alongside that, I'll quite often go into Instagram, looked at the tagged photographs pages, and then I'll scroll through that and see if I can see a photograph or something, say it's a dress, of someone wearing that specific dress. So then it goes back to that thing where I can sort of, I guess, compare it to, say, someone that might have look more similar to me, or someone that's more my age, so I can see, oh, just in case, because, you know, obviously all these websites edit photographs and things like that, or they might pin a dress in at the back to make it look better. Well, I think, well, how does it actually look in real life? So I'll always go in and sort of have a look at those tagged photographs, or I know some websites as well share them at the bottom of their page. So they'll have sections that say sort of as styled by you and things like that. And I'll always look through those photographs and see how they look on each of the different people they featured at the bottom of the page. So yeah, it's definitely more popular, I think. And it just brings that element of trust there. I know you were saying, Jane, that people trust user generated content over branded content, and I think it is for reasons like that, especially when it comes to fashion and clothes. The amount of times I've watched, obviously it wouldn't be interesting so much to you guys probably, but the amount of times that I've watched sort of behind the scenes photographs or videos of photo shoots and things, and they go, oh, we'll just pin this, and I'm like, well, that's not how it looks, it's not pinned, so why would you do that? But I think it's important to have both photographs really so that you can look at them. But I'm definitely one for, I'm a sucker for looking at the tagged photos.
Me too, definitely.
Yeah.
Is that even if it's a trending product?
It depends. If they say there's only 3 left, I might not have time.
On it.
Just wanted to check
that. I think that kind of segues quite nicely into some of the news that I've seen this week. Well, I'm sure all of us have seen it maybe in the social media news, is that Facebook are testing out a change to their algorithm, so in the way they collect feedback on people's thoughts on their newsfeed. So when we're talking about content and what people are seeing, obviously any social platform, their aim is to get people to stay on the platform longer. They make their money out of advertising. That's no secret. You know, I'm sure anybody watching knows that that's how the platforms work. So in order to keep people on the platforms longer, Facebook are making changes to how they collect data. So they often have what's called user feedback surveys. So, and you might have seen these. So if people use Facebook, you might have seen there's a little kind of button, or it looks like a mini post that says, it says, I can tell you exactly, improve your newsfeed, and it gives you the chance to give feedback. So, and a lot of people will participate in that. I must admit, I never have. I've just kind of scrolled on by, but they collect a lot of feedback in that way. They're also starting to add things like, so underneath a post that's been presented to you, it will ask you a question that says, is this worth your time? Or is this relevant to you? And they're changing the questions they ask slightly. And I would agree with this, because if it asked me if something is worth my time, a lot of the time it's probably not, because in the evening when I'm scrolling through, and I'm scrolling through just for a bit of relaxation, it's probably not worth my time to look at, videos of rescued puppies that have come good. But actually, I find that content engaging. So they're changing what they're asking. So rather than is this worth my time, they're potentially asking, is this inspirational, or is this engaging? So they can start to tailor your newsfeed to present you with topics that kind of tick those boxes. Maybe it's inspirational, or it's engaging, or it's worth your time. So, is it valuable? They are also looking at the impact of political or divisive content, which again is probably no secret. It's been widely reported that it does create a lot of polarization, particularly in the US. So they are looking at, based on our reaction. So if we react to a post, so if you're seeing a post, it comes up and you give it the angry emoji. It's kind of categorizing what's that, what do we need to show the person less of that's going to make them angry. So they're looking for less triggering content. So if you're triggered by something, they are potentially going to show you less of that. Which I don't know what you guys think. Does that mean that we are less informed, or is it just trying to make it a more positive, happy place?
First of all, I never use the angry emoji or anything. I actually don't. Not because I'm not an angry person, but just because I just don't. If I see something that annoys me, rather than react to it with an angry face, I'll just scroll past. But maybe, given this update, I should use the angry emoji, because then they'll stop showing it to me.
Yeah, potentially.
Potentially. I don't know. I think it's one of those things, isn't it? We've talked about it before. A lot of social media people go onto social media as a bit of escapism, or to look at that fun content and that sort of thing. So by reacting, say, angrily to a political post that you don't agree with or something like that, and then you not seeing that type of content in the future, I don't think that's necessarily stopping you from having that knowledge, because you can go and source it somewhere else where you're in that frame of mind. Whereas a lot of people, when they go on to Facebook or whatever, they do just want to look at cute photos of dogs or stupid memes and things like that. They don't necessarily want to be educating themselves sort of on politics or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably a good thing, but I think it's something that I would need to. The thing is, I feel when I react to something with an angry face, people just think that I'm angry. Does you know what I mean? Like when I see a post where there's been a lot of angry faces, I'll quite often hover and I'll look at all the list of angry people, and I'll just think, why are they so angry? So I'd have to start using it more and see if it worked.
Yeah, see what impact it has.
Yeah.
So, but I can see. So if you did go on there and you follow, so there's quite a big news feed that's called Now This. I think it's more American based, although it does cover global news. And I do follow that, and it will show me things like riots, the situation, so things that are less kind of perky and happy and inspirational. And I think maybe it is looking to make it a less divisive place, because it seems to be that there's not a lot of middle ground. There's often, and this is one of the drawbacks of social media, it can be you're either X or Y, there's nothing in between. You're either right or you're wrong. So
yeah, because there's a lot of polar opposites, isn't there? I think there's a lot of people like to have their opinion on things, and if someone doesn't agree with that opinion, it's not so much accepted, it's rather that opinion's wrong, rather than they just have a different opinion. So I think it's if it does work, and I think if people make use of it, I do think it would be a good thing. I don't know, what do you think, Amanda?
I mean, they're testing it, so it's not necessarily going to be completely rolled out, but I think they do need to keep improving their algorithm and their content, because they can't just stay the same. There's new things happening all the time. So another thing they're looking at is that you can hide specific posts. So at the moment you can unfollow somebody, so you don't have to, like, so if it's a friend, for example. So, and let's face it, we've all got kind of maybe friends or family members that you just think, I'm fed up of seeing their photos, or don't like their opinion, or whatever it might be. So sometimes so but you don't want to unfriend them or unconnect, because again, sometimes you think, oh, I can't unfriend Great Auntie Joan or whatever. But what you can do is unfollow.
That's not a real Great Auntie Joan, is it? That you've just dubbed in.
Great Auntie Joan.
No. Great Auntie Joan.
She's not on Facebook. She's got some dubious views, but she's not on Facebook. You can unfollow someone, which means you just don't see their posts at all. You can snooze somebody for 30 days. So I don't know, maybe if someone's being a bit self-promotional about a particular event or something, or a business is, you can snooze them so you don't see them for a month. But now, if there's a post that you just think, I just don't want to see this. So if it is around something particularly triggering, around a product that you're just not interested in, but you still want to be connected, you can just choose to hide that post, because sometimes you might find it keeps coming back into your news feed, especially if people are commenting on it. So I think that's quite a good move. It's just quite a nice, easy click of a button. Don't want to see this again. So I just thought that was quite interesting. Yeah, for our audience, so for marketers or people determining their marketing strategy, what it's saying to me is that the questions you need to ask yourself when you're putting out the content is, does it fit these categories of valuable, engaging, inspirational? He doesn't necessarily have to tick those 3 boxes, because I think they can be different things, but it should be kind of in those categories. If not, why are you sharing it?
Good advice.
Yeah,
there you go. Harsh but true, maybe.
I was going to say anything that I have to say, Amanda, is valuable and engaging and interesting. Of course.
A lot of the time, all of those, and which is rare. You don't get many.
So fabulous.
Tick all those 3 boxes.
Thing is, people that don't know me that well are going to think I'm serious in saying that. I'm not serious. Emily, she's a bit big-headed, isn't she?
Let's snooze her for 30 days.
Yeah,
snooze her for 30 days.
She's too big-headed now.
She's on the unfollow list anyway.
I see. Poor Emily.
Yeah.
So then, since we're picking on you, Emily, what else caught your eye this week?
So it's not necessarily new. It's something that I believe Matt Navarra spotted at the beginning of March, but it's Instagram automated story captions. That's really hard to say. Automated story captions, which I think is really good. I don't have it yet. I checked literally just before this live lunch and I still don't have it. But when we sort of encourage people to use stories as much as possible, really, and especially on Instagram, videos are very engaging and it's got that personal element in them that, again, we always say works particularly well when it comes to engagement. But something that is important with video style stories is to add captions, because a lot of people watch stories without the sound, and obviously if they don't have the sound on, they're not going to know what you're saying, they're just going to scroll on. So it's important to add those captions. Now, before, we used to have to add them manually, and I still have to add them manually, but what they're looking at doing is adding automated captions. So the way that you get to them, I believe, is that you'll record your video as usual. You'll then click into the sticker icon in the top right. And if you just type in the search bar captions, there's a captions sticker. And basically what it will do is it will come up with almost like a loading bar, something like that, where it's basically saying that it's checking your what you've said and matching it with the captions, and then it will add automated captions to match what you've said. And you can choose, I believe, 4 different styles of font for that particular caption. But I think it's really good. I'm annoyed I don't have it, because I really want to test it out, because one thing that I find really difficult with, I sort of summarize what I'm saying, because I think obviously the way that you speak compared to the way that you write is slightly different. But if you have the automatic captions there, you're not going to have to be thinking about that as much, and you can literally just hit that sticker and then publish your story. So yeah, I'm curious to see if anybody else has it, but I don't have it and I'm a bit sad about it. Have you got it, Jen? Have you got it, Amanda?
Oh, I don't think
I'm just looking. I don't know if I have. If you've got to record your story first.
I think so, yeah. I mean, obviously I don't have it to test it out, but from the videos, I believe you need to film it and then hit the sticker afterwards.
Okay. Well, folks, if you want to follow, this is Mandy Marketing, all one. That's me on Instagram, and I'll try it for you later. There you go. Little plug.
Yeah.
Obviously follow Green Umbrella Marketing as well, because I actually don't use my marketing Instagram very often. Even as a marketer, I'm not very good at using Instagram. So just to fill up my day doing other people's marketing. I know, exactly. Yeah. We do other people's marketing, not necessarily our own.
Exactly. Jane, I think you said, can you edit them?
Yes, I got it wrong. So
I don't think you can. So I think that's why they are testing it. I saw so there's an actual influencer that I follow, and she was testing it yesterday because she got it, and it wasn't quite picking up on some of the words that she said. But I mean, obviously you can get the gist of it. I think it depends how long you're going to be talking for. If it's a short story, you could just type it out. But if it's a longer one, then I do think it's handy.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Excellent. Mark, how are things in your world?
Yeah, still busy. So all good. But it's been a sort of different week in some ways, because print seems to be sort of picking up again. So obviously we've spoken a few times over various lockdowns that you know, that has obviously impacted the print side of things, whereas online and web has been really busy. But this week there's been quite a few different jobs coming through, or at least inquiries as well. So everything from sort of brochures to manuals. So it just seems that people are, you know, getting ready to get back out there, you know, maybe preparing for events later on in the year. And yeah, sort of getting back on the print bandwagon, really. So it's probably one of those things that we said before, where print sort of goes in and out of fashion a little bit. So it's probably one of those good times to actually start thinking about doing some print, because people have been used to seeing all the online marketing, you know, particularly over the last year, sort of ramp up. But if you're doing, again, something slightly different to sort of supplement that online marketing within the print sort of sphere, it's a good time to be sort of thinking about doing that as well now.
Yeah, definitely. Because people won't have seen it for a while, will they? So actually, if something comes through their door, Matt, it's like, oh, something's come through my door. You know, that's not happened for a while. So they're more likely to look at it, aren't they?
Some real post rather than email post. So
And
yeah,
that ties quite nicely. So I don't know if you're all in the same position on different screens, but so for me, Mark is there and Jane is there. Oh, I can't do it. Anyway, ties quite nicely in.
Matt is there. Amanda's there.
So, there's Jane for me.
that's
But yes, ties quite nice. So print doesn't just have to be like a bit of paper. It doesn't have to just be a business card. So when we talk about print and design, it can be pens, or it can be promotional items as well as flyers, that kind of thing. But if you tie that in, then increasingly on receipt of that, people might do, thank you so much at Green Umbrella, loved, or, you know, whatever your business name is, and ta-da, you've got the user-generated content.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we've done in the past with Social Snippet even as well. So we've had little sections over the years where, you know, people have tagged us in as they've received their sort of hard copy of the Social Snippet, and we did have quite creative ones for a while. We might have to sort of reinstate that and see if we can get back again. Yeah, once people get back out and they're allowed out again.
Yeah.
And then we did have a few sort of people dressing up and all sorts.
Who did the dressing up? I know Anthony McCormack?
It was, from
Max that was a good one.
Yeah, that was hardcore.
The team at Team, so the employment agents movement.
Yes.
The office crew at Team, they would often get creative with theirs. I think they did one for, must have been the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup in 2019.
Yes,
I'm sure they did one with all the all dressed up.
Was it? Didn't someone do one for Wimbledon? Wasn't there one for Wimbledon? Or am I thinking about something else? I remember there being something to do with Wimbledon. Anyway, maybe that was something else.
So just these little things. Social snippets available now on the Green Umbrella website. You know, they're our monthly magazine, but in all seriousness, yes, we would send them out. People find them useful, but if they take their photos, then yes, we've got some great content for the next month. So it's not, you know, I was going to say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal when Mark's going, can you hurry up and write your content for Social Snippet because we're on deadline for it.
There's two people with big gold stars on this call.
Yeah, there's one in the doghouse at the moment. But the day's not over, folks. So if you Thursday deadline,
the day's still young.
If someone can generate some user-generated content for Amanda to use for the Social Snippet, if anyone's got any good stats.
I know what I'm going to write about. There's a sneak preview for anybody. I'm going to talk about blogging and the importance of blogging, and going to be some really juicy stats in there. My teaser one, because I have started writing it, teaser one, companies that have a blog get 67% more incoming leads than companies that don't have a blog, which I thought was a pretty compelling statistic. So if you're blogging, keep doing it. If you're not, think about it, and we can give you a hand with that. So, but yes, I normally, a lot of the data that I focus on as Data Davis is around social and around kind of user numbers and that kind of thing. I thought it'd be quite useful to focus on something different this month. Right. One other piece of news I wanted to share that I thought was quite a biggie, and it was picked up by the BBC this week, was the feud between Apple and Facebook. So I think they've often been feuding over, various things over the years. But at the moment, the big focus is on whether, as Apple users, you want to opt out. And let me get the terminology correct. So essentially, as most people would know, data is being collected about us all the time. But Apple are talking about doing their next update that allows people to see what data is collected about them, and they have the chance to opt out of that. So, and for somebody like a Facebook or perhaps any other social platform, but Facebook in particular, they're focusing on, they obviously need this data to help tailor the newsfeed and tailor the ads. And the reason it caught my eye, particularly on the BBC, because so many people were kind of going, well, I don't want them collecting my data. I don't want them collecting my data, as if it's kind of, did you not know they do this already? So I'd be curious to know if anyone's, sort of watching live, how you feel about that. Do you like your data being collected? Do you like your newsfeed being tailored? Personally, I do. It just makes my life a whole lot easier. If the products, the advertising, the content that I'm seeing is more geared around my tastes, I'd much rather that than it show me something that's completely irrelevant. I don't know. What do you guys think?
For me, I agree with you. I mean, the thing is, advertising will still happen. And if I'm going to see adverts, I'd rather see adverts that are relevant to me rather than adverts that are not relevant to me, because people will still advertise. And like you said, actually, sometimes it's really useful. When I was buying a mattress a few years ago, I looked at a couple of mattress things, and then I got 100 ads for other mattresses that I didn't know existed, and actually made my life so much easier, because then I had a ready set of mattresses to go and investigate and look at the reviews for before I bought one. So, okay, once I bought one, it was really annoying that I kept getting mattress adverts for about 3 months afterwards. But yeah, so for me, I'd rather have it tailored to me.
But then again, though, if you've got that advert that you've seen, you can click on it and say, I don't want to see this anymore. Why? Because I've already bought the product.
That is true. Yes, I should have done
that. So, I think that's it. Yeah. Well, that option may not have been there though.
Yeah, it was a few years ago, so it might not.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's useful, definitely, because you're going to see things, like you say, that you perhaps wouldn't have seen before, or offers and things as well. So if you've looked at something, looking for a new Mac or something, but then someone's got an offer on it, you might not have seen that, but because you've sort of been targeted by that ad, it's actually a benefit to you. Definitely. So it's a bit of both, isn't it? There's obviously privacy sort of questions and things, but from an advertising perspective, yeah, it's better to have the stuff that you're interested in. I'm not going to want to look at sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something random, candles or something that just something might have random come up. But yeah, that was it. Yeah, subconsciously it's in my head. And that wasn't even real. That was, oh my God, it must have been tucked away. But yeah, it's that sort of thing. If I'm going to look at a guitar site or something, I'd rather see guitar ads than candle ads.
Yeah. Maybe we're too close. Kind of educated in not coming across kind of, oh, we know what but as marketers, we know how this works. But it amazed me how outraged people were going, well, I don't want them collecting my data. I don't want them collecting my data. It's like, what do you think they're doing anyway?
Yeah.
And why do you think this is necessarily a bad thing? I don't know. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it.
You're going to ditch your Nectar card because you don't want them tracking what you're buying on there. It's
exactly.
just the next.
It gives you good deals sometimes as well. I mean, I know that sometimes it's we'll save you a £5 and you end up spending 50 quid. So it's actually it hasn't saved you anything. It's cost you £45. It's not the point.
That's the point. I wanted to see that advert.
I'm wondering if anyone has impulse bought anything purely because they have seen it on a social media ad, so like Facebook, LinkedIn. So if you're watching and you have in the comments, let us know. But have any of you guys literally one ad?
No, not as much from an ad, but I guess it is considered an ad. Like, so when an influencer puts hashtag ad in their Instagram story or in their YouTube video, and they, so say, for instance, I watch a lot of hauls where people, so from stores that I particularly like, so I don't know, Zara or something like that, someone does a Zara haul, and if they're working with Zara, they have to put that it's an ad because Zara's giving them some sort of offer or some products for free or however they've worked it, I don't know. But I always buy stuff from those. I'm terrible. I need to stop watching them because every single one I watch, I'll probably buy something because it just looks so great. I think that looks excellent on her. I'm going to buy that. This dress, actually. This dress was from a Instagram reel. I saw this on. This girl wore it, and I was like, "That looks fantastic. That looks so expensive." I clicked on it. It was about £20, giving away how much my dress is. But I was like, "That's a bargain." And she was saying, "Oh, it's a really classic print. You know, polka dots never go out of fashion. Black and white." I was like, "Sold." So yes.
Yeah.
I have as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you guys about that chilled wine bottle thing that I bought the other day. Literally, that came up in an ad. I didn't even know you could buy it. It's basically like a sort of chilli bottle type thing. It's 750ml insulated bottle. You pour your bottle of white wine in it, and then you don't need to take a wine cooler out with you for your picnic. And I saw that on one ad. I said, I'm having that. It arrived yesterday.
Nice.
So yes, I do buy
probably
things.
the worst.
No, just this week I bought. I saw an ad for a special type of beach mat that the sand goes through it. So I guess it's some kind of mesh. So not only does the sand go through it, it comes with little pegs, so you can peg it down so it doesn't kind of fly up. It's also got little hidden zippy pockets, so you can kind of hide your phone or your keys in it if you go off for a swim. So one ad, saw it, thought that is amazing. I bought 3. So I could give them as gifts to people.
I've never gone that far. I'm normally thinking about myself at that point too much than other people.
They've gone in the Christmas present cupboard ready for December.
What? That's
some people are very lucky. So just goes to show the power, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Mark, have you bought anything?
Either that or we're very easily manipulated, I think.
Probably.
No, I probably have. I can't think of anything, to be fair. I suppose, like you guys, I do things like for research and things sometimes if I see something, but I can't think of anything I've bought straight off. Maybe I'm a little bit more considered. Yeah. It's not to say.
I was going to say, perhaps that brings it back to the debate of whether women are more easily influenced than men. Going by this small group, there's a possibility. But who knows? Paul Green said, "Keys and pockets are fine unless others have seen the ad."
That's true.
And now you've told everyone about it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Oh, there's a phone in that beach mat.
Damn it. Oh dear. There are some stats which I don't know off the top of my head, so I'm letting you down as Data Davis. It shows about who makes the purchasing decisions in the home, and it tends to be more female led. I don't want to get into too much of a, it's this way or that way, but I'm sure that's why. So things like Homebase, B&Q, all those DIY stores used to be more, their ads were geared around guys in the home. But actually, when it comes to home refurb, decorating, they were like, oh, hang on a minute. It tends to be the woman that makes the decisions. I mean, that is a generalization. There was some data around it, but as I said, I haven't got it to hand. So anyway, we are digressing into our shopping habits, which I'm sure that people don't need to know that much about, but it does go to show power of social ads and that we are generally pro data collection as a group of marketers. So, any more? Is there anything that we need to add?
No, I don't think I have anything.
The only thing I thought of is I don't know whether anyone else has seen the boycotting of social because of abusive content from the sports side of things.
Is that this weekend?
Wasn't there or something?
This weekend to put pressure on the platforms to actually do more about sort of personal abuse and things towards players and players, officials, anything really that and the fans really. So it's quite an interesting move. Although Instagram have announced, I think, an actual feature where they can filter out some of the abusive content automatically or something. So I think they're just trying to put pressure on the platforms to actually do more to avoid those kind of situations. But it's interesting that even BT Sport and, you know, I think it's cricket, football, rugby, sort of all the major sports have like taken it on board. So could be a quiet weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I think, and if you're affiliated in any way, so whether you supply into those industries, it's worth thinking about whether that's relevant for you as well. I mean, we always talk about don't hop on a bandwagon if it's not relevant, but if you work in those spheres, then keep it in mind.
Yeah,
you don't want to be seen to go against the grain. Cool. Okay, well, we will be back. I'm sure Christina will be with us next Thursday. If not, we will go and check in the pub. It's probably a good idea, just in case she's there without
we could broadcast from the pub.
We could.
We do
I
need to
feel
do
so
that.
sad we've never done that. It's honestly my dream.
Okay, well, I'm a bit far away, so you might have to just get me virtually still, but you can have a drink for me. We will be back midday. Green Umbrella YouTube channel, Green Umbrella Facebook, Christina's LinkedIn. Until then, we need to do our customary wave for Emily. Everybody ready? Let's take the screenshot. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.